Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, let's dip our sticks and we'll check that oil. "10W-40 is an 8% Imperial Stout from HI-Wire Brewing in Asheville, North Carolina. First off, big thanks to Dewey Podmonster's own John Farner for picking this beer up for me. 10W-40 is an Imperial Stout that I've heard a lot about over time, but unfortunately it's just not a beer that's available here in Michigan. So if you have a buddy that lives in another state, you might get lucky enough to have that buddy get this beer shipped to his house. I know, it's an amazing 21st century luxury us Michiganders are missing out on, but that's a big reason that this channel is Michigan focused. But enough about the origin story of this channel. Let's get a look at the label. We'll get it into a glass, but first I'd like to thank my executive producers Brian Kramer, David Jeffries, Vinny Cant, and Cam Freeman for helping to bring this review to you today. If you'd like to become a producer, help out the channel, or maybe just throw me a couple bucks to buy me a beer, take a look at my Patreon at patreon.drafttherapy.com, where you can get early access to these videos and a few other special perks available only to patrons. If the monetary thing isn't your thing, just share the video, let's spread the word, let's get more people into craft beer. Let's take a look at the logo, at the label. Not the logo, but the label. All right, so on the front, it is very reminiscent of just like oil. I mean, that's what the label kind of looks like, a big can of oil. It says 10W-40 Imperial Stout brewed with coffee, chocolate, and vanilla. Lets you know this contains alcohol. Across the bottom, we see HI-Wire Brewing with their logo, a guy on a high wire. Go figure. If we turn around to the back, it lets you know the coffee's supplied by Dynamite Roasting Company in Black Mountain, North Carolina. It also lets you know brewed and canned by the Three Ring Brewing Company, LLC, Asheville, North Carolina. This is 8% alcohol by volume, as I mentioned below. Then again, we see another HI-Wire Brewing logo and the government warning. This can was packaged on January 6th, 2022. This is an Imperial Stout. I'm not really worried about this expiring. I'm sure it'll be just fine. So we're going to go ahead and crack it. We're going to put it into this large snifter style glass. Let's put a nose on here, as we do. Getting real roasty notes to it. I'm getting vanilla and I am getting coffee. I mean, that's a lot to get on just out of the can, so we're going to pour it. Coming out really dark. It does have a bit of a transparency on the pour itself, but it's collecting very dark in the glass here. As you can see, that head is still kind of filling up. I'm just going to stop it right there. Getting about a good finger's worth of head here. It is a little bit dark tan, maybe just borderline coffee, maybe almost a cola kind of looking head. It is really compact bubbles, really stiff and stuck together. They're not really budging much. It looks like this nice kind of pillow of foam just sitting on the top here. Holding that up to the light, it is very dark, as you would expect. I am not seeing through it. You are not seeing me through that, through the bottom of the bulb of this glass. It does have a slight, light kind of brown look to it. It looked very much like it did on the pour. So that's the coloration that I'm seeing through the bottom of the bulb of this glass. Let's put a nose on the glass here. Yeah, again, getting vanilla, getting a little bit of coffee, getting a little bit of a roasty. It almost has a bit of a cola aroma to it as well. So it's in the head, I don't know, maybe it's just my perception, but it looks like it's lightened up a tiny bit. It looks like it's a little bit more on that kind of tan edge, but let's go ahead and try it out. Cheers. We always talk about the mouthfeel of beers on this channel first, of any kind of drink that we drink on this channel. So the mouthfeel, this is actually kind of on the lighter edge. It's not super crisp. It's not super light. It's not like a lager, but it's not super heavy. It's not super thick. It's not really syrupy in any way. It's just a nice kind of medium body, a medium mouthfeel. It's really got a nice, soft, smooth mouthfeel. It just rolls over your tongue. It doesn't feel cloying. It doesn't feel like it really hangs on and just, you know, permeates your tongue too much. You kind of get that flavor, and when you swallow, that flavor kind of dissipates. There's a bit of an aftertaste, and we'll talk about, but let's talk about the flavors here. So at first, what I'm getting is a bit of like a sweet vanilla comes through on the very forefront of the flavor. And then after that, it kind of starts to kind of move into a bit of a roasty. You get a little bit of a chocolatey, roasty kind of flavor, and a little bit of a coffee flavor on there as well. So the coffee kind of comes through, kind of perks its head, pops its little head up on the finish of the flavor after it goes down on your tongue. It has a, yeah, it has a big vanilla, and coffee vibe to it. The coffee really, again, comes through on that finish, comes through on the finish of the flavor. And the chocolate comes through with the roastiness. It's kind of like this, you get this vanilla sweetness, you get this chocolatey note to it, and the roastiness at the same time on the finish. That roastiness of the stout itself, the Imperial Stout, starts to blend into that coffee. So the flavor that you're left with at the tail end of this whole kind of flavor experience is that coffee vibe that just kind of hangs out on the back of your tongue. Again, it's not super cloying. It's not something that sticks around for a really long time. As it starts to settle on my tongue and after I've taken a drink of it, I start to get a little bit more of a, that's a little bit more of a roasty kind of coffee note comes through, and it just kind of hangs out and tastes like you took a nice big swig of a black coffee, and that's kind of what sits on the back of your tongue. It's a really nice beer, just kind of overall. It's 8%. Imperial Stouts, I think these days, I think of more being on those higher ends, but I think I'm also kind of relating Imperial Stouts to being barrel-aged, and this obviously is not one of those. So it's 8%. That's a nice kind of, I hate to say it, almost a lighter Imperial Stout. It's not too filling. It's not too crazy. 8%, you could probably drink one or two of these at the bar. I mean, you know, if you go to Asheville, or I think they have a place in Kentucky and they have a few tap rooms, maybe that's not feasible so much for my Michigan viewers, but if you're out of state, maybe you're in that area. But yeah, it's a nice kind of flavor overall. I don't see much of other Hi-Wire stuff. I've only seen when I've traveled outside of the state, and like I said, John picked this up for me, but when I'm outside of the state, I'll see it occasionally. But I don't obviously see, you know, too many other, I'm not really looking too much for it either, though, to be honest. But this is a really nice, just kind of straight up stout. You get that vanilla, you get that chocolate, you get that coffee, you get those roasty kind of notes that you'd expect to get from a stout too. Just a really satisfying, really smooth, really nice Imperial Stout. Doesn't go too crazy, but you do get the flavors that it says on the can, and I feel like that's, I mean, these days, sometimes you kind of look and you read the stuff on the can, and you're not always getting those flavors, so it's nice to see that you're getting everything that's advertised here on this can. All right, friends, that's been 10W-40 from Hi-Wire Brewing Company out in Asheville, North Carolina. Have you had this beer? Do you have a favorite, maybe homegrown, closer to home Imperial Stout that maybe has minimal flavors or has a nice kind of combination of flavors? Let me know in the comments down below while you're down there. If you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell. I'm here talking about beer twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's all for free for viewers just like you. And you might miss your newest favorite if you're not subscribed and getting those notifications. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries. As I said, these guys are in Asheville, North Carolina. And until next time, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time. Cheers.